Hi guys, I just wanted to show how to change the reveal on a door or drawer front. There's some question about maybe making something like a combo vanity where you have a partition, two partitions side by side, but the door sizes are incorrect. I'm just going to draw a quick cabinet here. So I'm going to start with an open cabinet. I prefer that when it comes to putting in partitions and such. And just make it unfinished, just let it have it. Okay, so let's just throw a horizontal in here and a vertical in the bottom section. And let's just change the top to a more of a drawer front height. And change that to a single drawer. And you can always make it false. Now let's do another vertical panel in here. Oops, sorry, let's undo that. Another vertical panel. So we want to have drawers in this side and a door on this side, but we want these two verticals there tight together. And the reason being is that we want our drawer fronts to have the same reveal for the jig in the shop, left and right, and then a door stop for the door to swing onto and hit on the right side. So let's change this section here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this section to be very, very small. So, 1/1000th of an inch or whatever. And hit apply. And you'll see that they basically touch each other. Mathematically, it would round to 0. So now we kind of have those two panels touching each other with, virtually no gap in between them. So I'm going to go and change this to a drawer bank with two drawers. And I don't want the top to be 6.5, so let's make this, I don't know what that would be, 11 5/8. So now we have two equal drawers there. And as you can see, it's gone to the default on that partition in the parameters, and it only wants to kind of split it in half. It doesn't want to come all the way over where we want it, like on this side, where it's only like 1.5 mil or, something like that. So let's go ahead and put the door on this side and see what happens to that. So we'll have a single door hinged right. And we see the same thing has happened to the door. It's looking at the parameters going, what do you want me to do when I'm overlapping on a partition, not a gable? And it's saying, split it in half, so that if I have another panel coming over top, it'll split it in half and give us our 1/8 inch gap or 3 mil gap in between. That's not what we want for this case. So we have our panels placed right, we have our door right, we have our drawer front right, but we don't have our sizing for the door and drawer front correct because of that gap. So what we can do is click on here, double click, then click again on the drawer front, and here we can see that we have control over the reveals. So on something like this, I'm going to cheat and say I want to look at the overlap, because I know that my partition's 5/8 thick, so I can do the math here quickly with an overlap, and you'll see the drawer front jump over and leave us just that little bit of reveal. Let's do the same with the door now. Click on doors and you see that we get the control of the reveals. Let's change that to overlap on the left side and watch what happens to the door there. It'll jump over. And now we have our door sizes the way we want, with an 1/8 inch in between, 1/8 inch above, and a 1/16 on the sides where there's an unfinished end. So that's how you can control that quickly. So you can take that application and do something more funky with it. Let's take a big wide cabinet now and do the same thing we did. Change this to an open. And let's put some partitions in. And in this case, I'm just going to do two verticals. So now we have a funky situation where we want two doors, but we want three sections, and we want the doors to come down the center of the box. So we could easily go and put a door on that section there. Hinge left, door on this section here. Hinge right. So now we can go play around with the reveals again and move those doors halfway to the middle of the cabinet. So if we went into here and said door, if we went to overlap, we could go and do the math on that. So 45 divided by 2. 22.5 is the center of this cabinet, right? So because there's section openings and such, the math just isn't, that simple at, say, 22.5. So if we go to the reveal again and go to option or overlap, sorry, what we can do here is we can play around with the math a little bit. So we could say basically we're looking at 45 divided by 3 sections, so 15 per section, and half of that's 7.5, so 15 plus 7.5, right, gives us 22.5, like I said. So if maybe we started with 7.5 inch overlap here, we'll see the door jump over. And we can do the same with this door on the right. Go to overlaps and say 7.5 on the left. So we can see that there's still, a little bit of gap there, obviously. So if we calculate this cabinet door size that we want, we'd say 45 minus the 1/8 in the middle, and then minus a 16th on each side, which is another 1/8. And then we would divide that by 2 to get our door size at 22 3/8. So what I do is I'll cheat, and I'll go look at the door size here, and that needs to be 22 3/8. So if I take 22 3/8 minus 22.229, I get, I'm short 0.146 on each door. So if I go back to the door now, and I go back to overlap, I need to add 0.146 to that dimension. So I get 7.646. If I go to the right and do the same on that door, 7.646. That should correct our math there now, and get an 1/8 inch gap in between. So now we have 3 sections behind these doors with 2 doors. So if we go into the multi-cross section, we can go and open this door, and we can load this up and render it. So you can see that the panels are there. We've got a couple added parts there that float in space because CADMORE doesn't know what to do with them. But you can see the panels behind the doors. The doors are halfway across the cabinet, and that's how you can play around with the door sizing on sections to overlap them, or get the end result that you need to get. Hopefully this helped. Thanks.